requesting deactivation of the deflector shield.
It's not gonna hurt you, look.
Sexuals often prey on young people. This is particularly vicious as it affects the victim at a sensitive stage in his development. A young boy of 11, Stephen Magg, had been molested by a famous designer, and the whole city has been shocked by this sensational case. The boy's statement contained a clear and detailed description of the assault. This is Otto Senn, a ne'er-do-well playboy who lives by his wits, and apparently lives well. Singer, the defendant, is the head of the design department of a textile firm. Stephen Magg, the boy who was molested, is the son of the janitor of Singer's textile firm. The trial is in its third day.
Well, you've really come up in the world. Your boyfriend's in trouble. You better see if you can help him.
You never give up, do you?
Mr. Singer, how long have you known Stephen Magg?
Well, Stephen is our caretaker's son. His father's been with the company for some 15 years. Actually, I've known the boy ever since he was born.
Yes, I see. And how is it that you've recently befriended the boy?
I'm an artist. I prefer to do most of my work after hours because it's much quieter then. Stephen's parents were reluctant to leave the boy at home alone at night, so they would bring him with them when they came to clean up the premises. He used to come into the design room and watch me work. In time, I discovered he had a great talent. I was simply helping him to develop it.
But on the evening in question, you took the boy home with you, didn't you?
Yes, that evening I had a couple of big, bulky portfolios to carry home with me. Stephen offered to help me carry them.
But why didn't you bid the boy good night at the front door? You are certainly aware of how ready people are to expect the worst. Well, when you got him inside, you gave him a drink, huh?
Mineral water.
His breath smelled of alcohol when he finally arrived home.
Well, I put a few drops of vermouth in the water to give it a flavor. I'm afraid I don't keep soda pop at home.
But if, as you say, your behavior were above reproach, I would say you would scarcely ask the boy to remain in the living room while you went in the bathroom for a shower.
The door was closed. Besides, I simply must have my shower when I come home from work.
But what happened when you came out of the bathroom?
I put on a perfectly respectable dressing gown.
Mr. Singer, the judge means when you came out of the bathroom, you sent the boy home. Is that right?
Well, of course. It was almost 9:30. And a boy of Stephen's age ought to have been home in bed.
But the boy didn't get home until after 11. Can you tell us why?
I'm afraid I have no idea where the boy went after leaving my place. It's hardly my affair what he does with his time.
Thank you, Mr. Singer. Next witness.
Mr. Magg, Mr. Albert Magg.
Sit over there, Mr. Magg.
Mr. Magg, while you testify, you may remain seated. Mr. Magg, the court wishes to hear what you have to say in this matter. Now remember, under penalty of the law, you must tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You are the father of Stephen Magg, employed at the Wonderall Embroidery Factory? Right. You filed certain charges against one Ferdinand Singer.
That's me, yes, sir.
Will you tell the court what happened that night?
Well, usually our boy is at home, asleep in bed by the time we get home from cleaning at the office. So my wife and I were pretty worried when we got home from work and find the bed empty. The clock was striking 11 when I heard him come in. He acted confused. I could see right away that the boy was drunk. He wouldn't never lie to his father. He admitted where he was at. Mr. Singer's.
Excuse me, Mr. Mag. Would you mind telling me what time your work begins? And what time you get back home?
The factory closes at 5:30. And my wife and me, we begin work then. And we work fast. But we have 11 rooms to finish before we're through.
And what does Stephen do while you're out working?
Well, what would you expect the boy to do? He stays home.
I should think you're taking quite a risk, aren't you? Leaving a young boy like that to do whatever he wants.
Your Honor, I would like to request that this young boy, Stephen Mag, be called for questioning so that the court may, in its own way, form its own opinion of the boy's character.
Mr. Mag, would you be kind enough to have your boy brought here to court at 3 this afternoon? The court will adjourn until 3 o'clock this afternoon.
It is most unusual for a boy underage to be summoned before a Swiss court. It is only allowed when there is no other way of discovering the truth.
Just a minute.
It doesn't look so bright for you, Mr. Singer. You know, people are pretty quick to believe a boy of 12.
What do you mean?
Why, Mr. Singer, you remember I worked for you once? You were my boss. Naturally, I worry about you.
There's something very funny about those two, Nettler. Well, don't let them out of your sight. Yes, of course. Well, we'd better have something before court convenes this afternoon.
We should be able to talk privately here. You know, if the prosecution puts me on the stand, I'm a poor liar, unless it's something worth lying about.
How much do you want?
1,000?
I haven't that much in my wallet.
It doesn't matter to me much where you get it. But you'd better come out with it pretty fast.
You don't mind taking a check, I hope.
Will you cash this?
Police, will you let me see that check? What?
I don't understand you sometimes, Mag. Letting them drag our boy into that miserable court again. You don't think for a minute they're going to believe what the poor boy says, do you? With all of his important friends, that Mr. Singer will be acquitted anyway. And he'll get even with you then, you can be sure of that. The first thing we'll do will be take your job away.
I wonder what's keeping Stephen.
I wonder what we'll be able to do with Stephen now. He can't show his face at school anymore. Be pointing at him and calling him a liar.
Come on, Mom. We're supposed to be there at 3.
Well, first of all, he'll have to change. Don't worry, Stephen. You still have your mother.
Remember, if you made up this whole story about Mr. Singer, you better admit it now.
No, sir. It all happened just the way I said it did yesterday morning.
If it please the court, we have no interest in breaking down this boy's story. He obviously had relations with somebody. But it wasn't with my client.
No. It was Mr. Singer.
It is extremely curious that Mr. Singer's psychiatric examination shows strong leanings toward the same sex.
Stephen, do you wish to add anything to what you've already told us?
No, sir.
Then you may go now, Stephen.
Can I go sit by my father again?
I'm sorry. You'll have to wait for him out there. Well, how much more have we learned about this problem?
I have a witness, Your Honor.
Who?
Detective Nettler. I believe he can tell us something important.
Take the chair. You are aware of the penalty for perjury?
I am, Your Honor. Will you tell the court, please? Have you carried out the instructions I gave you before?
Yeah. I followed Mr. Singer. He left the building with Mo Sen. Sen drove Singer to the bank. Yeah, Singer's bank. I wasn't able to overhear that conversation. But Singer wrote a check which he gave to Mo Sen. I got it here. When Sen went into the bank, I was waiting for him. I picked him up when he tried to cash this.
1,000 francs? Why?
I got a hunch about that. It's a payoff.
You little wheeze. If they send up Singer for that,
Leave
I'll
the boy alone,
smash
then.
you to pieces. You can count on that.
Come on over here, I said. Now, leave the boy alone.
Oh, keep your hands off me.
Well, get over there and be quiet.
Wait a minute, Your Honor. I just thought of something. I can prove I was telling the truth. Mr. Singer has a raspberry mole. Right here. I know, because I saw it. On that night.
He must have been peeping through the keyhole, of course.
Mr. Singer. Is the boy's testimony true?
Well, All right, so I've got a mole.
Very well, Stephen. You may go now.
If the court please, I would like to have Mo Sen brought in for questioning.
You mean for questioning or as a witness?
For questioning, Your Honor. I suspect collusion between Mr. Sen and the defendant.
Oh, Sen, for questioning?
Now, Sen. You know Ferdinand Singer?
Yes, I was an apprentice of his.
And Mr. Singer helped you? Personally and professionally? The way he did all the other boys?
Oh, my, yes. Oh, look, will you please remember to ask me what I know about Stephen Magg? You have no idea how he lies.
The witness will confine himself to answering questions.
Now, I suppose you must have some explanation why Mr. Singer paid you 1,000 francs.
Out of the goodness of his heart.
Excuse me, please, but I would like to clarify this point. Yes, I gave Mr. Sen 1,000 francs, but it was blackmail. That's what it was. He knew very well what I was being charged with. He promised he would help to incriminate me, claim I'd made improper advances. This was false, but who would believe me here? He told me I could pay or go to prison. I believed I had no choice. That's all.
Tell us, how long were you working for the defendant?
A bit more than 2 years.
Where'd you go then?
To the reformatory.
Of what were you convicted that you were sent there, Mr. Sen?
Mr. Sen has a long record of morals charges, Your Honor.
And am I supposed to take the rap for that? That swine there paid me well to be his playmate. Till he got interested in Stephen Magg. He seduced me while I was his apprentice. He used me shamelessly.
What's wrong with you?
And the same thing goes for most of these fine, upstanding gentlemen. Came here to testify for him today.
Since the witness seems to know so much about the defendant, perhaps he wouldn't mind telling the court if he has any particular bodily marks.
Of course he has. Here. A raspberry mark. Was like a 50-cent piece. With hairs grown on it. It was so disgusting, it always made me sick.
Singer, maybe it's about time for you to admit the truth. Did you molest Stephen Magg? Yes or no?
Yes.